Guys, welcome back. On this episode of The Desert Road, we're bringing you a 2020 GLB 250. And what we're going to be attempting to do in this drive is figure out if Mercedes perfected the ECONOBOX. So follow us along in the drive. All right, guys, thanks for tuning back in. We're on the Desert Road again. I sincerely appreciate you tuning in, watching our channel. We try to bring you fun reviews, educative, and give you a real-world, quick take on an experience of what it's like to drive each of these cars. So if you have any comments, if you have any questions, please post them in the comment section below, and we reply to all of them. And we will be as honest as we can about everything we tell you. So let's go on a ride. Today, we have this awesome 2020. It's a GLB 250. It's one of the Mercedes entry-level compact SUVs. This car is fairly awesome, in my opinion. We're gonna talk about some pros, some cons, and just overall how it drives on the road. First impressions, this car looks pretty good. It's a little bit on a goofier side from the outside. It is a smaller SUV. I like the boxy look, but it doesn't look like a mature, very grown-up car. This car does look good. It looks like a Mercedes. As you can see, the front bumper, the back bumper, all have nice touches to them. It has the typical Mercedes emblem edge. There's really nothing wrong with the looks of the car per se. If it was myself, I'd dress this up with the AMG package. It would give it slightly more flair, more aggressive styling, just a little bit more of that premium look that other Mercedes in the lineup has. We're looking at this car from the ECONOBOX perspective. This is one of the Mercedes' cheapest cars, although it can tip the scale in the price fairly easily. This car, without any options, comes just sub of $40,000. This is looking at the 2022 models on Mercedes website. If you throw a couple options in here, such as even navigation, adaptive suspension, sportier seats, the AMG package, you're going very north of $50,000 pretty quick. And for 50,000 bucks, you want to make sure it's money well spent and you know exactly what you're getting, because there's a lot of competition in this class in that price range. Looking at the interior, it's fairly great fit and finish to everything here. All the materials, all the plastics, they feel premium. There's hardly any real ECONOBOX feels to any of this. I love the aluminum trim. I love their fake carbon fiber. The screens look absolutely fantastic. Even everything such as the armrest here is soft to the touch, very nice. I assume what is fake leather. Same thing with the seats. They're not real leather. I believe that's close to a $1,500 option if you do option it with real leather, but this is just fine. The seats do feel overall firmer. These are the standard seats. The AMG line gives you sports seating in this car. I actually have never sat in the sports seats, but these accommodate a wide variety of body types and aren't over bolstered in any way. So I can imagine almost every single person will find comfort in these standard seats that Mercedes offers. The back seat on here is fairly spacious. I think partially due to the fact that it's not a sloping roofline. It's very straight across the top. So the back seat does give you ample room. As you can see, we were able to fit 2 child seats in the back, and honestly, it still gives plenty of room up front for a driver and a passenger to be fairly comfortable without fully squeezing in. So that's a pro to this car. The action of the vents is absolutely fantastic here. I love this circular design, and you can point them very easily in any way you want to go. The AC blows nice and quiet in here, even on the highest setting. It does pump out a good amount of airflow. I think it could be a little bit more AC, but you know, for a 4-cylinder and a fairly small cabin, I'll take it. There's really no issues that I have with this AC system. I like what Mercedes also did with the interior here. The all black works phenomenally well. They even put dark black headliner. Some cars still put the light one with a black interior, and that just really aggravates me like no other. I like the full black interior. It has the dual moonroofs here. It works well. It provides extra light in here when you do want it. I love how vibrant the screens and all the information is on here. You can easily change between some of these gauges. The screens look absolutely phenomenal. They really knocked it out of the park, incorporating some of the features of the higher priced cars into this little car. One thing I'm fairly impressed with driving this, it doesn't feel like you're in a car all that small. I think the seating position with the square shape with nice big windows give it a very airy feeling inside of this car. Now, let's get to the best part, which is the drive of the car. Everybody's wondering, how does this car drive, right? Like, does it feel like a Mercedes product? And I'm kind of happy to say that it does feel like a premium car. Mercedes did a great job turning kind of a small compact SUV into a premium drive. This car does sit on 18-inch wheels, which are the smallest wheels you can opt on here, and it offers a fairly hushed ride overall on the drive. This Mercedes is fairly well insulated. You can't hear much traffic at all. I don't think these are dual pane windows on here, but overall, driving around, sitting at lights, you don't hear much of the other cars passing by at all. So kudos for Mercedes for insulating even one of their cheaper, smaller cars away from much of the road noise. I do wish that the suspension was a little bit more plush. This is the standard suspension in here. You can opt for an adaptive suspension that lets you control more of the settings. In this suspension, the car is jarring over some surface that's not absolutely glass smooth. So you do feel a little bit of road vibration, although this car does isolate you from the road fairly well still. Also, I forgot to mention in the beginning of my review, this car is the front wheel drive model. It's totally fine for running your errands, doing your duties, as long as you're not traveling to conditions or live in a climate that would require all-wheel drive. Personally, myself, if I'm buying something like this, I would opt for the all-wheel drive model. It's around $2,000 more to have that option, and I think it's worth every penny of that to upgrade to the all-wheel drive in case you need to use something like that. The car does have a premium solid feel on the road when you're driving it. For a more compact car, this doesn't feel econo, and in its drive, it actually drives very, very solid. Sometimes cars that aren't all-wheel drive could have this little bit of a fleety feel to them. This has none of that. It feels solid on the road, and I think you'd be happy to pick up either a front-wheel drive or the all-wheel drive, whichever one fits your needs a little bit better. All right, guys, let's talk about the acceleration of this car a little bit. I'm gonna see what this can do off a light. It's very zippy all around. It's a 4-cylinder engine in here. You honestly don't need any more power than this to get up and go off a light. All right, we're going off a light. You can definitely feel that front wheel drive at play, especially pulling out of a turn if you're on it. It has a little bit of that sway. So having said that, this car drives fairly solid on the road. The steering is on par with the lightness of some of the other modern German cars. It's very easy to steer, very easy to drive. The steering is fairly disconnected from the road, but overall it is very direct, and the car goes where you point it. So no complaints with the steering here. All right, now briefly, we're gonna do 3 things I like and 3 things I dislike about this car. So my top 3 things that I really enjoy about this car. Number 1, it's the interior. I think it's fantastic. I think the layout, the screens, the premium feel of everything is absolutely great. Number 2, I really, really like the visibility out of this car. I can see in every single direction. There's no angle here that's blocked. And I think overall for just daily driving, especially in a more city environment, this is absolutely fantastic. And number 3, my favorite part about this car is the amount of power and torque this thing produces off a light. It's an absolute joy to drive. It offers no hesitation, and the 8-speed dual clutch transmission is a marvel in here. I absolutely think they paired the transmission to the engine very well. Okay, now going to the 3 things I dislike. Number 1, I don't really particularly care for the way this car looks. It's not a bad looking car. I just don't feel like it represents me or the look I'm going for. I think some of the other Mercedes or some of the competitors look better in this segment. It doesn't have this grown up Mercedes look. So that's number one. Number two, the ride. The ride is a little bit on the stiffer side for a Mercedes product. It doesn't drive bad, but I wish there was just a little bit more smoothness. Even something such as a C-Class, which is in the same segment, drives more smooth. And last, I think this car is fairly expensive given the options that I would want in this car. So this one does not even come with the backup or front sensors. It has a backup camera, so you gotta add that. You gotta add the navigation separately. You gotta add leather seats separately as well. So by the time all in, you're looking with the AMG package, you're looking at mid-50s $1,000 car, brand new all in. And to me, that's pretty expensive for a car in this segment. Now, I would already start looking at different cars in that price range that include some of those options as more standard options and provide a more premium feel to the car. But if you opt out of some of those options, I think this could be a great contender in the low 40K bracket. All right, we're gonna briefly talk about some of the options that you can add in this car and what this does not have. This car does not have the heads-up display, the navigation. AMG line will give you a different bumper, front and back. 19-inch wheels, aluminum shift paddles. These feel pretty good. These are plastic. They feel pretty good, but you get the aluminum ones with that. Revised body styling, sport seats. Premium package, which this car has, gives you this bigger instrument and a touchscreen cluster, which this is. Navigation is $1,300. If you want leather in here, that'll cost you $1,500. Panamera roof. If you want a full Panamera roof, that's $1,500 to that. The crazy part is you can add a third row seat into this car, and that's an $850 option. I could potentially see that working for some people if you need a smaller car with 3 rows, which I don't think anybody else offers. So that's actually pretty fantastic that that's an option. Me personally, I would just get a bigger car to incorporate 3 rows in here, but that is an option in this car. Driver assistance for $1,700. You get the lane assist, stop assist. That's actually kind of on the pricier side. Park assist, that would be a must for me because it has the front and rear sensors. That's $1,000 to add that. And adjustable suspension is $1,000 as well. I would probably take that to smooth out this ride a little bit. And then if you throw in Burmester stereo system for $850 and a garage opener for $280, the buttons up top here, you're looking at something like $55,000 out the door for this GLB, but it would be a fairly loaded car. Again, for that kind of money, I would start looking elsewhere. But again, if you want a smaller car that's a Mercedes product that does everything fairly well, take a look at this car. It might surprise you. So overall, with this product, Mercedes took kind of like a base econo car and managed to improve it in almost every single area. Everything from the touch points to the ride, it still does not drive or feel like some of the more premium German counterparts. But overall, they did a good job masking some of the issues that people would have in kind of like an entry-level car. I mean, of course, you are paying for it. You're looking to spend 40 grand and above, which is quite a big chunk of money. But there is a certain demographic for whom this car would fit really well. I do like the compactness of this car, especially if you're just running around town or you live in a more busy metropolitan area where you still want the pros and the access and the space of an SUV. Maybe you have some kids, you're able to throw some strollers in the trunk. Overall, it does give you that awesome usability of an SUV without just taking up too much room in parking spots or zipping around traffic. I think Mercedes has done a phenomenal job of cramming so much into such a little package. All right, guys, we briefly covered the pros, the cons, things I like and dislike about this GLB 250. We truly appreciate you tuning in to this episode of The Desert Road, and there's many, many more to come. Leave your comments, thoughts, anything you like or dislike or what you want to see in this channel down below. We'll make sure to get back to you and answer all of your questions. Thanks again. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time on the Desert Road.